Sarah was new to the vast echoing halls of Blackwood University. College life was a whirlwind of loud music, louder conversations, and the constant thrumming anxiety of impending assignments. She yearned for a pocket of silence, a moment to simply breathe without the world pressing in. One afternoon a simple flyer caught her eye. It was pinned to the corkboard in her noisy dorm, almost hidden beneath layers of party invitations and tutoring ads. Optimal Ambiance Association, it read in plain, unassuming type. Find your center. Discover true meditation through perfect environmental harmony. Intrigued, she decided this might be the quiet she so desperately sought. The first meeting was held in room 3B, a forgotten classroom at the end of a dim corridor. The air inside felt different. It was still, utterly still. Soft lamps cast a gentle, warm glow, unlike the harsh fluorescent lights of the rest of the campus. A handful of other students were already there, sitting in comfortable, slightly worn armchairs. They possessed a remarkable calm, their faces placid and untroubled. The leader, a lanky senior named Elias, greeted Sarah with a soft smile. His voice was a low murmur like distant water. He spoke of finding inner peace by first mastering one's immediate surroundings. Elias explained the core philosophy of their small, dedicated group. True tranquility, he proposed, wasn't just a state of mind. It was a state of being, deeply connected to the environment. And the cornerstone of this environment, the absolute foundation, was temperature, specifically 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Not 71, not 73, only 72. This, he claimed, was the precise point of thermal equilibrium where the mind could achieve its highest clarity. Sarah thought it was a peculiar notion, a little obsessive perhaps, but the room was undeniably comfortable. A profound sense of relaxation washed over her. The initial sessions were deceptively simple. They focused on guided meditations, on the gentle rhythm of breath. Elias would lead them through visualizations of calm landscapes of perfectly still air. Always the room remained at an unwavering 72 degrees. He spoke of the agitations of the outside world, the unpredictable shifts in temperature, the tyranny of drafts, the unsettling chaos of poorly regulated climates. Sarah found herself nodding along. Her own dorm room was a battleground of too hot or too cold. The library was an icebox. Here, in room 3B, it was always perfect, a sanctuary of consistent comfort. As weeks turned into a month, the practices of the Optimal Ambiance Association began to reveal a more ritualistic side. The meditations were now often accompanied by chanting, not words of spiritual wisdom but strings of numbers. Binary code, 01110010, they would whisper in unison, 01100101. Elias explained this was the pure language of control, the native tongue of the thermostats that governed their perfect world. It aligned their energies, he said, with the unwavering precision of the digital. Sarah found it deeply unsettling, yet the rhythmic drone had a strangely hypnotic quality, and she murmured along, not wanting to break the spell. The centerpiece of their devotion was unveiled. It was a sleek, modern, smart thermostat, mounted on a small, velvet-draped pedestal in the center of the room. Its digital display glowed a constant, reassuring 72 degrees Fahrenheit. They called it the Oracle of Optimal Conditions. Before each session, members would approach the oracle, bowing their heads slightly, sometimes whispering their hopes for continued thermal stability. Sarah watched, a cold knot forming in her stomach. This was far more than a quirky meditation club. This was something else, something dedicated in a way that felt almost unnatural. The perfect air suddenly seemed thin. Then came the sacrifices, not of anything living, thankfully, but of things deemed disruptive to the sanctity of the 72-degree environment. Scented candles were the primary offering. Vanilla bean knoll, lavender haze, ocean mist, all were presented, still in their packaging, before the oracle. Elias declared their potent fragrances to be agents of thermal chaos, their complex aromatic compounds interfering with the purity of the perfectly conditioned air. They were not burned, that would release their disruptive essences. Instead, they were neutralized by their collective focused intent on maintaining olfactory neutrality. The group's obsession permeated every aspect of their conversation. They spoke of the great unsettling of fluctuating outdoor temperatures, of the blessing of proper insulation, and the curse of the open window. When Sarah tried to discuss her classes, or a film she had enjoyed, their eyes would glaze over. They would listen politely, then steer the conversation back to the merits of triple-paned windows or the existential threat of a faulty HVAC system. She began to feel a profound sense of isolation, a stranger in a land where the only God was a steady 72 degrees. Sarah knew she had to leave. The strangeness had curdled into something that felt genuinely wrong. She missed the simple unpredictability of the world outside room 3B. She missed the feeling of a cool breeze on her skin, the scent of damp earth after rain, conversations that didn't eventually circle back to thermostat settings. Her plan was simple: attend the next meeting, then politely excuse herself, claiming a sudden surge of academic commitments. It was a plausible excuse. A normal excuse. Yet the thought of actually doing it filled her with a disproportionate sense of dread. The next gathering, however, was not a typical session. Elias announced it as the ceremony of eternal stasis. The lights in room 3B were even dimmer than usual, the primary illumination coming from the unwavering blue glow of the oracle. Elias himself was wearing a long, heavy fleece robe, the color of a cloudy sky. He informed the assembled members that tonight they would achieve true and lasting union with the 72-degree ideal. They would, he intoned, bind their very life essence to the perfection of the optimal temperature. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. This was not a club meeting, it was an initiation. Panic tightened its icy grip around her chest. I have a terrible headache, Sarah stammered, rising slightly from her chair. I think I need to go. Elias turned, his eyes, usually soft, now held an unnerving intensity. A slow, knowing smile spread across his lips. The optimal ambience will soothe it, child, he said, his voice a silken trap. There is no ailment that perfect temperature cannot cure. Two other members, their faces blank and serene, moved subtly, almost casually, to block the only exit. Their smiles were fixed, unwavering like porcelain dolls. She was well and truly trapped. The ceremony began. The binary chanting started again, but louder this time, more fervent, more urgent. The members formed a circle around the oracle, their hands outstretched towards its glowing face. Elias began to speak of thermal demons, malevolent entities that reveled in temperature fluctuations, feeding off the chaos of inconsistent climates. They must be banished, he declared, their disruptive energies forever sealed away. Sarah listened, a horrifying realization dawning. He wasn't speaking in metaphors. He genuinely believed in these demons, in this bizarre temperature-centric cosmology. The perfectly still 72-degree air suddenly felt heavy, pressing down on her, suffocating. Sarah's mind scrambled for an escape. These people weren't just quirky, they were deeply, dangerously ensnared in their delusion. The oracle, the smart thermostat. It had to be connected to the dorm's Wi-Fi network. She was a computer science minor, not a hacking prodigy, but she knew the basics of network security, or rather the common lack thereof. A wild, desperate idea sparked in her mind. It was a long shot, a digital Hail Mary, but it was the only weapon she had against their analog fanaticism. She had to try. While Elias and the others were lost in their ecstatic chanting, eyes closed, swaying gently as they praised the sanctity of 72 degrees, Sarah subtly maneuvered herself closer to the wall where the dorm's ancient Wi-Fi router blinked innocuously. She fumbled for her phone, her fingers slick with nervous sweat. Shielding the screen with her body, she quickly scanned the local network. There it was, Thermogod_72. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Default passwords, so many Internet of Things devices were laughably insecure. She tried admin, then 12345, then password, access granted. A wave of triumphant relief, sharp and electric, coursed through her. With trembling fingers she typed a new command directly to the oracle. Send. Then immediately, another. Send. She programmed a rapid oscillation between the two extremes. The oracle's serene blue display flickered erratically, then flashed a furious red. The room's climate control unit, an old groaning beast, sputtered in protest, then roared to life, blasting a wave of Saharan heat. Seconds later it switched, spewing a gust of Arctic chill. The cultists gasped, their chanting dissolving into confused cries. Elias shrieked, "The thermal fiends! They assault the oracle! The stasis is broken!" In the ensuing pandemonium, as members flailed and cried out about the unraveling of order and the invasion of the variable hordes, Sarah saw her chance. The door was momentarily unguarded. She bolted, down the dim corridor, through the indifferent dorm lobby, and out into the cool, blessedly normal night air. It tasted of freedom and exhaust fumes and the distant promise of pizza. Later, huddled in her friend's wonderfully messy, erratically tempered room, she sent a text message. Just escaped the 72-degree cult. Pro tip. They really don't appreciate it when you mess with their thermostat. P.S. Pretty sure I accidentally liberated one of their fleece robes. It's surprisingly comfy.